Hi guys and welcome to Fandom Newbie. My name is Shruti and today I'm back with another video where I'm going to be reading a celebrity's book recommendations. Now if you've seen the title and thumbnail of the video, you know that the celebrity is Emma Watson. Now Harry Potter fans know Emma Watson as Hermione, who, if you've read the Harry Potter books or watched the movies, know is a complete bookworm. Like, she absolutely lives in books and loves reading books. And honestly, Emma Watson is not very different because she also loves books. Like, she's mentioned this many times in interviews, as she's like done interviews, press interviews for Harry Potter, and she also, I think, has a Goodreads book club, if I'm not mistaken. She posts about them on her Twitter and Instagram as well. So there's just like a whole bunch of information on the books that Emma Watson has read, and some of them just look very, very interesting. So I have actually picked out 5 books. I have 4 over here and one I actually found on Storytel, so I'm going to listen to the audiobook. But yeah, I'm excited to read all of these books to see whether my taste in books matches Emma Watson's taste in books, and see if I will discover some amazing books or some really bad books. But yep, I'm going to be reading all these books and I'll let you guys know my thoughts. Hi guys. Okay, so firstly, I'm sorry if I'm a little bit low on energy. I actually just took the second dose of my COVID-19 vaccine yesterday. Yes, I'm fully vaccinated and I'm so happy about that. But because of that, I'm just feeling a little bit weak and just like low on energy. But that just gave me the perfect excuse to read all day long, and I did just that, and I finished my first Emma Watson book recommendation, which is The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. Now, Emma obviously has a very important role to play in the movie adaptation of this book. And I think while she was just doing a lot of interviews promoting the movie, she had mentioned that she really loves this book. I agree with Emma Watson because this book was so good. This is basically a coming-of-age story of our protagonist in the book, whose name is Charlie, and he's a 15-year-old boy who has just entered high school. And the book basically talks about Charlie just finding himself, finding his place in society, making new friends, and also battling things like loneliness, anxiety, and depression. The unique thing about this book is that the entire book is written in the form of letters. So it's basically Charlie writing letters to an unknown friend. And that is what I really loved about the book, because firstly, it kind of has this stream of consciousness narrative style, which is just that Charlie is just writing all of his thoughts. Like, whatever pops into his head is what he has put down in these letters. And I just found that so unique and interesting to read. It was almost like we were reading Charlie's journal, and like these letters were just his release for all of these pent-up emotions and thoughts that he had about his life, friends, everything. Yeah, it was just a really soul-stirring, excellent experience. So if you are a teenager, if you're 14, 15, 16 years old, I think this is a really good coming-of-age story that you should read. Hi guys. Okay, so I have just finished reading book 2 from Emma Watson's list, and that is Persepolis by Marjan Satrapi, and now I'm in love with this book. Like, this book is just absolutely incredible. It is heartbreaking, it is infuriating, it is powerful, and it is just magnificent. Essentially what this book is it's basically Marjan Satrapi's autobiography. So it is her life story from when she was a child, around I think 7 or 8 years old, until she's 24 years old. And it talks about how it was for her to grow up in Iran through the revolution, through the wars which happened in Iran, and also the establishment of the Islamic Republic in Iran. So it just talks about how it was for her to grow up in a society that was riddled with war and death and oppression, and just, it's written so simply because this is a graphic novel. So like, the language is incredibly simple and easy to read, and it's written very directly, very simply, but in that very simple and sometimes kind of sarcastic and comical tone, Marjan Satrapi talks about such powerful and impactful themes that, like, I don't know, the juxtaposition of just how simple it is versus how difficult the themes are that she's talking is so beautifully done. Like, the beginning part of the book is about her childhood, so you actually see it from like a child's point of view, and to see it through like the innocence of a child was also so interesting to read. And then to see how her thoughts and how she evolves to become this young woman, and her ideals and her beliefs and everything was just so beautifully captured, so simply captured, but so impactful. Like, I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense, but it was just absolutely, absolutely brilliant. Please read this book because it is just absolutely brilliant. Okay, so I just finished Bad Feminist by Roxane Gay. I actually listened to the audiobook on the Storytel app, and this book was also quite good. So when I started this whole thing of actually reading books recommended by Emma Watson, I was expecting to read a lot of feminist literature because she stands for this entire feminist program which was called He for She, and she also spoke about feminism and why feminism is important at the United Nations. So I was expecting a lot of strong female characters in her books as well as just feminist literature overall. And that's why I chose Bad Feminist to read actually, and I'm happy that I read it because it was a very, very interesting book. This book was actually published in 2012, and that I feel like that time feminist thought and just like feminist ideas were very different as compared to what they are today. So at that time, I guess you had to be like the perfect feminist and believe in everything that every woman believes in, and only then you are considered to be a feminist. Like, you can't have contrarian opinions, or at least it seems like that's how it was in 2012. And that's why this book was kind of very revolutionary, because it shattered those myths, and it's basically about like you can still believe in equal women's rights but also want to be a housewife, for example, or also just be an extremely messy woman who doesn't know what they want with their life. Like, it's not like the CEO of a company, but you're still a feminist. You know what I mean? It's like the typical notion of what a feminist should be versus who a feminist is not. This book kind of talks about that. And while I think in 2012 that was quite revolutionary, I feel like just the feminist movement, feminist thought, and feminist ideas have evolved a lot from 2012 to 2021. So some of these ideas that I read in this book were a little bit outdated, but still very interesting to read. The second thing that I have to say about this book is also that this book is very heavily dependent on American pop culture. So a lot of the examples that the author gives in this book is about like American TV shows, or the way women are portrayed in those TV shows versus how they're portrayed in certain books and movies. So the essays in which I knew the pop culture references, I had a great time reading it. So like there was an entire thing on Twilight and 50 Shades of Grey and like chick flick movies, and those essays were just absolutely hilarious and fun to read because I understood the references. But there were some essays which spoke about movies and TV shows that I had just never heard of, and those got a little bit boring. All of these issues brought up in this book are really interesting to read about, and I highly recommend this book. I have just found my new favorite book of all time. Like, seriously, this is basically a book about books and stories, and those are the kind of books that I absolutely love. What this book is about is basically our main character Daniel and his father go into kind of like this secret library which is there in Barcelona in 1945, and Daniel picks up this book which he finds in the secret library, and he falls in love with that book, and the name of that book is The Shadow of the Wind, basically, and it's written by this author named Julian Carax. Now, because Daniel falls in love with that book, he tries to discover more about this author because he wants to read more books by this author, and he soon realizes that Julian Carax's life is like shrouded in mystery because like not everybody knows what happened to Julian Carax. He apparently disappeared in the 1930s. Some say he died, but people don't really know what happened to him. And the other really mysterious thing is that there is this mysterious figure who has been burning all of Julian Carax's books. So Daniel basically owns the last known copy of The Shadow of the Wind. And because of this, he's extremely intrigued by the life of Julian Carax, and so he goes down this mysterious path of finding people from Julian Carax's like life, his friends and everyone, and he tries to piece together what happened to Julian Carax. And what he discovers is like this story of love and betrayal and mystery and just like so much drama. The language is just so beautiful in this book. The way things are described are so beautiful, and also just the way Barcelona is described is so vivid and magical. Definitely check it out if you're interested in historical fiction, interested in beautiful writing, and just a book about books and stories. If that's your jam, read this book. It was just absolutely amazing. Like, I love this book. I love this book so much. Okay, so the last book that I picked up out of the many books that Emma Watson has recommended is The Remains of the Day by Kazuo Ishiguro. Now, going into this book, I was a little bit skeptical, but also excited. Excited because I had heard so many things about Kazuo Ishiguro. Like, I'd heard that he is a phenomenal writer, and I was skeptical because essentially what this book is about is the life of a butler living in England in the 1930s and 40s, like during World War I and World War II. And that doesn't sound like very interesting, and also it wasn't very relatable. Like, I didn't know whether the life of an English butler could be something that's interesting to read. But honestly, after reading this book, I can see why Kazuo Ishiguro's writing is like lauded so much, because honestly, he made the life of an English butler freaking interesting and so endearing and just so lovely. So essentially what this book is about is, like I said, an English butler, and he's kind of like towards the end of his career. So like his peak days when he was like the best butler in England are behind him. And so he's in this stage where he's like reflecting back on his career. And he's one of the only butlers left in England who takes pride in being a butler and who takes pride in being a good butler and is very loyal to the family that he serves, and is just like, you know, a very traditional old English butler who lives with the propriety and just like the ethics of butlers from bygone eras kind of. And because he's been so loyal and because he's been so proud of being a butler, he's missed out on certain personal opportunities in his life, and he's missed out on like certain personal joys that he could have had in his life. And so at the end of his career, he's kind of looking back at his life and seeing where things went wrong, how he might have changed or whatever. He's just like reflecting on his past. And I know that doesn't sound very interesting, but the way Kazuo Ishiguro has developed this character, you just feel so much empathy for him, and you feel like you just want to jump into this book and give this butler a big old hug and just be like, dude, it's okay, live your life, like you don't have to be like this. Like, I don't know, I feel like I'm not doing a very good job at explaining it, but it's so endearing. If you've watched Downton Abbey, then I think you like this book, especially if you like the whole, you know, like how the staff in Downton Abbey live and the lives that they lead. If you're interested in that kind of aspect of Downton Abbey, I feel like you'll really enjoy this book. Give it a shot if you're interested in beautiful writing and just very nice character development. You will love this book, trust me. So yeah, that was my video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it and I hope you guys found some great book recommendations. I know I did. Emma Watson's taste in books is just exquisite. The books that she's chosen they just have amazing stories and amazing characters, and they're just filled with a lot of heart and soul, and they are just the kind of books that I like. So I'm happy to know that Emma Watson's and my reading tastes match. That's pretty cool to know. But honestly, these books are just all of these books that I read were just absolutely amazing. So check all of them out. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. And yeah, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below letting me know which other celebrity person's book recommendations I should check out. Do subscribe to my channel for more book related videos like this. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.